Sexy Indian. How's everybody doing? We are here today to review my favorite show, Seeking Sister Wives, and this is episode 4. So, this is going to be brought to you from an urban Native American perspective, a mixed perspective, and a secular perspective. So, let's dive right on in. I hope everybody can hear me okay. Let's see, I'm going to make sure I have my volume up because I don't have my. Okay, all right, there we go. I don't have my microphone on today. Can everybody hear me? Okay, all right. So let's dive right on in, everybody. So did you watch it yesterday? Oh, the craziness it ensues. Now we didn't get my most favorite dysfunctional couple, and that's uh you can't even call them a couple. What are they? Nick and April and Jen. Oh God, Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. They are too much. So I kind of missed out on them this week. All right, so first we're going to start talking about Brenda. Brenda and her, what is it, Steve? Is that his name? Let me know in the chat if I miss if I got his name wrong. So Brenda is feeling upset because she's feeling like little Miss what's her name? April, right? Yeah, little Miss April is muscling in on her little situation. But it was all good when Steve was married and had his wife and his relationship was intact, and then you come in, but now that you are, you had him to yourself all this time, now she doesn't want to, she doesn't want to share. So I think personally this was like a relationship that was convenient for her at the time when she first met him and he was married and everything. And I think it got even better for her, maybe like as time went on, and then she just had him to herself, like I said. But, he just basically is replacing her with a younger version. Does April not look like she could be, I don't know, maybe like Brenda's younger sister? I mean, they really look alike. I mean, she looks like a version of Brenda, like if she had braces for like 6 months, not the full time. But don't they? I mean, with the exception of the teeth, I mean, they at least remind you of each other, right? So it's clear that he has a little bit of a type, which is different than his original wife, who he was in a monogamous relationship with. Um, but maybe like the whole time he was really into Latin women and that was his thing. And well, actually, I shouldn't say Latin because you know what? I'm not going to assume, but you can tell they have an indigenous roots. So whether they are Latin or Native or whatever, but um, I think I'm right, but I don't know. I don't want to make any assumptions. So, okay. Yeah, so then they decide to go and have like a little sit down talk or whatever. And Brenda is really upset. And you can tell in her body language, she's just like this the whole time. And, like she's just like, she's not here for it because, she's feeling like, oh, April was supposed to have been, my best friend or more than a best friend, just like someone who I can really count on and everything like this. And it's like, are you delusional? This woman wants your man. Period. The end. Why the hell? Who is? Oh, hi, Barbara. How are you? Thanks for tuning in. Um, I mean, who do you think? I mean, what do you think this is? This girl is a young girl, all right. So mentally, she's not emotionally like mature, right? And let's see. Oh, miserable. Oh, Brenda looks, yeah, well, she does look miserable. Barbara here in the chat is saying that she looks miserable. And she does look miserable because let me tell you something. In order for the person that you love to be with someone else and to get all the benefits that you get from a relationship with another person, it takes a special kind of person. And I mean special in many different ways. But I mean, she's not built for this. Well, it's different. They always change up their story, as we're going to see later on as we get into the eps. Once somebody new comes in and they're no longer that new toy that was introduced to the relationship. So yeah, Brenda's sitting up there and she's just looking out of sorts, and she's she's saying to Steve and April, hey, you guys are making me feel left out. I don't know where I fit in this and stuff like that. You right now in this particular situation, just this one, you are an older woman who he's tired of. Now, Brenda, listen, you could go out there and find yourself an if is he your type? Because if that's your type, a white guy with dark brown hair that has a good job, who's in shape. If that is your type, I swear to God, you can go to plentyfish.com or whatever, and you will find men like that. So if that's really what you want, and you want to not share that person, then just I mean, why even put yourself through going on television? I don't understand this. So anyway, April's just sitting there like, well, yeah, okay, well, what do you want? Like, what do you want from me? I've never even been in a serious relationship, let alone how the hell am I supposed to know how to fulfill your needs? Okay, and there's an age gap between because Brenda's closer. I think Brenda's like I want to say she's 4 years younger than Steve, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, they're in the same age range. So I mean, what the hell do April and Brenda have in common anyway, other than possibly an ethnic background? And the jury's still out on that. I'm not totally sure what's going on with their ethnic background. But I mean, and I could be wrong about that. But other than that, I mean, there's such an those two are not two that you would see like hanging out at the grocery store together. They don't have enough in common. Come on. So you expect this young girl who hasn't even had a full-fledged relationship yet. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, April, exactly. Barbara's saying April has no idea what she's getting herself into. It's like you have to be careful. Where is April's support system is what I want to know. Does her mom know she's doing this, or any kind of close family members that are like, what girl, like what are you? I think she's probably intrigued by the fact that Steve is probably like physically maybe her type or whatever, and he takes good care of himself. He looks successful, and he's not a bad looking guy. Like, usually these guys can be very creepy, but for like the polygamous set, he's not that bad looking, right? I mean, so I think she's probably just kind of drawn into like, ooh, this guy could really like take care of me and stuff like that. I mean, she doesn't seem like she's got a lot, going on in terms of like goals and stuff like that. I mean, maybe she does, but she's not expressing that. She just seems to be just happy to be there with him, staring into his eyes, and hopefully Brenda is over there making some lemonade or some horchata or something like that. So when Brenda is like expressing how she feels, and she's saying like, or Steve is saying to her, like, well, do you need Brenda? Like, that's a stupid question. I set it up as an easy softball t-ball question. I just set it up for her. All she had to do was say yes. You are thinking with a very different part of your body than what these women are thinking with, okay? You just want this young, hot, whatever, however he sees her to be in his mind, and you don't want Brenda anymore. That's all there is to it. So, I just think that, Brenda really, I think she's realizing that she made a very big mistake by entering into this kind of relationship. I mean, there's a little bit more at stake for her because she already lives with him, right? But April, just take the clues, girl, bow out, okay? You're already making yourself look very bad. So anyway, all right, enough with those three. I was gonna say those three. So now we have Sidian. Okay, Sidian and Tasha. Now, of all the polygamists, I have to say, of the ones that get on my nerves, probably the least probably would be these two. But I just said the least. I mean, they all get on my nerves. So Sidian and Tasha, I mean, they're very boring, right? It's kind of like, I don't know, talking to like a plant or something. They're just so dry. And we just have, I mean, come on, speak up. Hello. So, all right, Sidian is just trying to figure out some kind of way that he can get over to see, is it Ariel? Is that her name? Over in the Philippines. So they talk to her, video call or whatever, and Ariel seems to be happy that he's coming. But I'm still wondering, I don't know if any of you guys caught if you guys caught any of my other lives where I was talking about me wondering about her family and like their background and stuff like that. I mean, it can be, I don't know her family, specifically, but the Philippines. I mean, the culture can be a little bit conservative, right? It's a very Catholic country. Doesn't mean she's necessarily Catholic, but I am really curious to see what her family is saying. What is this? Oh yes, Ariel. Thank you. Um, so I mean, she seems like, like she's down for it or whatever, but I mean, she obviously has a career that involves being in the spotlight. She does the pageants and stuff like that. She's no wallflower. So, I mean, this could be a good opportunity for her, right? So that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Ariel is like along for the ride. And if I'm wrong, then I want to see how they interact when he's in the Philippines, and I want to see what her family's going to say. Because I have a feeling that the family is going to be on camera. Unless, and if they're not, it's because the family is absolutely not for it. So I am very curious about this trip to the Philippines, and I also want to know what part of the Philippines he's going to as well. So he seems to be really like nervous about the money and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know. Was it? I'm trying to think like back to a couple of seasons ago. Is he in IT? I don't remember what it is, but I know that the kids were being raised with him after he broke up with the first wife because it did, once he brought Tasha into the relationship, then, it all went to, I was about to say something, but I don't want my channel to get flagged. We use Irish curse words around here, guys, because I can get away with those, and the algorithm does not take my videos down. So I'll say shite. Okay, so you know what that means, right? So before everything went to shite, it was Tasha and Sidian and the first wife. So, but Tasha stayed on. Now, one thing I gotta say, and I just like, listen, if you guys have watched me before, if you never watched me before, I am not for this. And it's not, this is a secular channel. This is not having to do with anything with religion. For me, not coming from a religious perspective or anything, to me, it's just too messy. And I don't like kids being around this. It's just too much. It's a very, very adult lifestyle. I feel like even if you are going to do this, people got to be much older and maybe like there's no kids around. I don't know. I can't even, I don't know. Even if I try to rearrange some of the parts, it's still, to me, it's just very, because I mean, you're sharing a sex partner. So let's look at it from a health perspective. I mean, even if you're asymptomatic and you have something and then, you don't feel the symptoms, you could be passing it back and forth. I mean, it's not sanitary. I just don't like it. But anyway, so they are, I just, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Tasha seems to be, of all these people, really like down for it, but not necessarily in a, yeah, really works, right? I mean, I feel like, Tasha seems like she really is just down for this. And it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but I guess the thing with her and Sidian, because there doesn't seem to be like as much of like a pimp, kind of like sort of situation. She really just seems like she's genuinely there and he's taking care of her, whatever. And I just don't know why she's in it, but she's in it. Okay. So, and I don't feel as though there's any, God, it's so hard with these kind of relationships because I'm speaking from a perspective of someone who's never been in one, right? I'm just from the outside looking in. And there is a lot of manipulation that happens in these type of relationships. But it just seems like with Tasha and Sidian, just from what we've seen, it just seems like she knows what's up. He knows what, I mean, he created it and she came in with it and she's all good or whatever. But we'll see. We'll see, because when little Miss Ariel comes in with her little beauty crown, okay, and her jewels are blinging and blinding Tasha in the eyes, we'll see how strong the bond of that relationship, that original friendship, from coworkers to friendships. We'll see how far that goes, because they always seem okay when they're coming in, like I said, but once they become the one that has to take the back seat to the new woman, then that's when shite hits the fan. So she's helping him book a flight and everything, and he's nervous. They're so scared about, that Ariel's going to lose interest and she's going to want to leave. I don't know. It's just an odd thing. But anyway, so now let's go over to the Epps. Okay, so we have Marcus and, oh my God, please try and let me get these names right. Marcus. Okay, listen, I can't remember women's names. I forgot to write them down. But I know he went out on a date with Bina, right? So Marcus invites Bina over. And I'll just call the wives at home wife number one, wife number two for right now. So okay, so Marcus invites Bina over, and automatically you can see the wife number two, God, I almost had her name in my head. Wife number two with the glasses, the younger one, she is like not having it, right? And she wants to know, why this woman, is she going to be serious and da 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 da. But basically, it just sounds like once again, oh, thank you, Taryn. Oh, thank you, Barbara. Taryn and India. Okay, right. India is the younger one, and Taryn is the first wife, right? So India is really insecure about this whole thing. She's not invested. Now I think Taryn, I don't it's so hard to really read her because it just sounds like she's sort of emotionally checked out. And maybe financially this is just working for her. So she's just like, all right, whatever, I'll let you do whatever. I don't know because I'm not I just don't understand what's in it for her because she said that they were on a break and then, and he was already out cheating and stuff like that. And then while they're on the break, he meets India, and it's a whole situation. So of course now India is looking at Bina when she comes in, almost like, who is she? And it's like, Beta's all excited to see Taryn because her and Taryn have known each other for all these years and they seem genuinely happy to see one another. But you see little Miss India over there in the corner, like, what's this little green-eyed beast coming into my house? It was just so funny. So what do you want from this relationship? And what made you decide to get into this relationship? So she's like kind of grilling her. And it's really obvious, it's based off of insecurity. And Marcus is just sitting there, like, lapping it all up, watching all these women fawn over him. It's just so disgusting, right? So Bina is kind of like feeling the shade, right? And then she goes to her, she was like, are you obsessed with him? And you know what? To be perfectly honest, I think the girl kind of, she's like, oh no, I'm just, really like I fight for my family and I'm very close to my family. Please, you just do not want this woman to come in and to take what you see as your kind of man. I want to say your man because he still is with Taryn in some sense, right? So, I don't know. I think like, her at or sorry, India asking Bina these questions, it almost seemed like, I mean, I don't want to say it was for the camera because I do think she genuinely is jealous about this situation, but it's almost like, what's the point? I mean, you knew that this guy, this little prize, literally little prize you got sitting over here on the sofa, is what you signed up for. And did you think he's going to stop at you? Like, I think that's what maybe some of these women think. He's not going to keep going on and getting more. Maybe if he says he's going to get more, he's going to be so in love with me because I'm so much better than the first wife that I won't have to worry about that. I think that some of them must be going in thinking that way because what else would explain their behavior when someone else comes in? Now, I'm only talking about the women because the men, I'm so disgusted with them. It's just obvious that I can't stand them. I'm just a little biased. I can't even help that. So hold on, let me just adjust this a little bit. These are the wonderful, wonderful technical things that we go through when we do lives. You get to see me adjust my camera, which is so professional. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. Hopefully that doesn't drop out of place. So anyway, Bina is, it's interesting how Bina is saying the same thing that she said to Marcus during their picnic. Hey, listen, people are going to cheat anyway, so you may as well like do it all, in the same house. And I'm like, oh my God, this is just so, I mean, yes, do men cheat? Yes, they do. Is it possible on this planet to find one that will not cheat on you? Yes, it is possible. And even if you weren't able to find one that didn't cheat on you, you could still have a good long relationship with someone. And then if unfortunately they do cheat on you, then you can move on and go to another relationship. You don't have to deal with a subpar situation because, hey, they all do it anyway. So it may as well. I mean, do you still think you can't get pregnant that way, or a child can be brought into a relationship that you may wind up having to spend your time and money and resources on, or cooking and cleaning for another kid? I mean, it's just, there's so many things to this, right? What is this? That is ridiculous. I think it is ridiculous. I think it is ridiculous. That just doesn't make any sense. I mean, a lot of people that I know that are very scarred from relationships that have been, you know, cheated on multiple times. A lot of them are just like, you know what, I'm done. And they'd rather be alone than be with somebody who you're sharing a sex partner with. I mean, are you serious? This is not like a pen pal online. They're playing chess. This is like real life, right? So I just, I wasn't happy with that answer, but I wasn't surprised by it because, like I said, she said it earlier, and India was like, "Oh no, that's no good reason." What do you care? What if she said, "I like, I want to be in this relationship because I really enjoy dating men under 5 feet tall." If that were her reason, that would still be not good enough for India. It just doesn't. Girl, you're in the wrong situation. If you want someone to love you, I mean, wholeheartedly, why don't you just enter a monogamous relationship? And listen, I know sometimes people want to date within their ethnicity. But let me tell you something, girls, okay? Sometimes you got to look at the statistics, all right? And if the statistics in your particular community are not on your side, men outweighing the women, maybe in terms of like, education, jobs, incarceration rates, things like that. These are real statistics, right? Sometimes you just got to look out. Sometimes you just got to maybe take a look at a different community and maybe consider someone else because maybe you're just not finding what you want in your area, but sometimes you just have to open yourself up to other people, and sometimes you'd be surprised what you can find in a different community. I'm just saying if your pool is not working, sometimes it is time to dip into another pool. So just saying, there's somebody out there, he might be from whatever country or whatever county or state or whatever, someone that you never imagine yourself with, and it'll treat you like gold. I mean, it happens. Just like, you guys have to stop like just taking scraps and a piece of a person. It's just insane. So anyway, yeah. So I think that was about it, right? So I talked about Taryn, and Taryn. Oh wait. So I just wanted to mention. So Taryn was really just sitting over there, cool as a cucumber, because like I said, I think she's emotionally checked out, and she really doesn't care either way. Or there's something going on with production that we don't know about. I'm not sure, but India was really seeming to be like really upset, and Marcus is like, I just want to know what it's time to get down. I want to, he's hinting around that he just can't wait to have, or I have a little kid in the next room, SCX, with Bina. So and another thing I want to mention about Bina before I move on to the next couple is that now Bina is a hairstylist. We spoke about that last week. But not only is she a hairstylist, she owns her own business. So if she owns her own business, that means she's a very independent woman. Now, as hairstylist, I told you guys before, I'm a former hairstylist. There's no way that I can imagine her getting to the point where she's owning her own shop, being independent, used to going out and having drinks after work with her friends, especially like your gay male hairstylist, and just having such a good time, to taking your money that you earned as a owner, as a minority woman who has managed to get her own business, and sharing that with a bunch of other women at home. I don't think so. This is, this whole, oh, we've been friends all this time, but I finally decided right now to be open to this. I don't know. I don't know if this is like, she was recruited for this. You never really know what's going on behind the scenes, and it always makes me wonder because we know reality TV is so highly scripted. It's just hard to figure these things out sometimes. So anyway, I'm just not really 100% convinced that she really likes Marcus like that. He's definitely into her, but I was just living for India's reaction. So, all right. Okay, we have to save the last minefield. Sorry, Merrifields. The Merrifields for last. Okay, the Merrifield minefields. So they are still in LA, and I didn't realize it. I must have it must have just went over my head last week. I didn't realize that they were not in Colorado. So okay, they're in LA, and I guess that's like a little Airbnb or something like that they're staying in, and they are, trying to figure out. I think Leah's just trying to figure out, like, first of all, what's going to go on with Bert. And then, second of all, what's the chemistry like? So, I had to take a few notes here, guys. So, okay, Leah and Garrett go on a date. And it was really interesting. You guys know me, I love body language. I want to see how people are reacting with one another. So they're walking down the street in this neighborhood, right? And listen, you guys said it. I mean, she definitely is taller than him, but I didn't really realize it until they were side by side. And when they were side by side, and she's like, come on, like, how am I supposed to hold your hand because her arm is so much longer than his? And it's funny because my husband and I are the exact same height. My husband is not a tall guy, and I'm not a tall woman. We're the exact same height. But because I have more height in my legs and he has more height in his torso, when we hold hands, if I'm wearing even like the smallest heels, sometimes like it can feel like my arm is like a little bit long. I know exactly what she's talking about, but on the scale she's talking about, that's like if I'm wearing heels. So I was like, oh wow, so there really is a significant height difference between those two. And when you saw them side by side, and I'm trying to figure if they were like this and they turned to each other, his eyes were right about it looked like his eye level was like right about here at the bottom of her nose. I said, oh, okay. And we know he's not into tall women like that. So that kind of that did, you guys were saying that, oh no, she's too tall for him. But you guys were right. I really saw that in his I won't say it, see it. I saw it in his face at that moment, but as they were walking, and he's kind of like she's joking about it. He's kind of going along with it, but he's not into her. Okay, he still really does like this Burt woman, right? Regardless of whenever she's gonna come or not gonna come or whatever. So, all right. So next, okay. So Leah is one of the things that I forgot to discuss last week was that Leah is very focused on her career. Now, she mentioned last week that she does not want to have to do a 12-hour shift at the hospital and then come home and do groceries and, buy groceries, do laundry and stuff like that. So, in that little hive mind collective where you have, he's like the king bee, right? Where he's making all the decisions, he doesn't want anyone with a very a static way of thinking. He wants that malleable, like someone who has dingy airhead, like kind of how Danielle comes off, right? He wants someone like that. And Leah is a much more like, listen, I want this, I want that, firing off questions, very direct with her line of questioning. And I think that that is just not going to work for this family. Some people are saying that they don't know if, Leah is really into him. I can feel he's not into her. And with her, I mean, I'm not sure. I'm still looking. I mean, but she's definitely making the effort. Now, is that effort because they got her from Central Casting and this is all, they're playing in our faces? Who knows? But at least from what I see on the show, she keeps trying to. It looks like she keeps trying to get him to kind of like maybe flirt with her or kind of show a little something. I mean, now they did say that they did go or on the date that they were on that they did actually have a kiss. Now, Garrick is just, always like on his confessionals, he's always like this, and the chair he's all like slouched down and stuff. I was like, what is up with him and his posture? It's like, is his head too big for his body? Like, I couldn't put my finger on it. But then I realized it when all three of them were walking in together into that restaurant and they had on their hats. And Leah's hat looked really cute, by the way, because she has like a very cute little haircut length or whatever. I noticed that he really I mean, I saw when they were holding hands, but really I saw it when he had that cowboy hat on. Maybe that made his body look really small. He is a small guy. He really is a small guy. And this is so interesting. All of these men are small. Look at Nick. Look at Marcus. Oh my, especially Marcus. And Garrett, they're all small. How are these little guys pulling in these women like this? I do not. The world is full of wonders, some of which I will never have the answers to. Okay. I mean, and if you and it makes you wonder if like these them being smaller and maybe being teased about it, being younger, if that had to do with any kind of insecurities that came up in their childhoods or something like that, because kids can be cruel, right, when they tease you when you're smaller and stuff like that. And like I said, my household here, we're not a tall family. I mean, but we don't really care. we're still fabulous. We just think we're fabulous, and that's good enough, right? But so it doesn't matter. So my point being about these men's height, it doesn't matter how small or how tall or short you are. Just like get someone who's like a little bit shorter than you. Like, because I noticed with Marcus, who's pretty small, when he was with, was it India? I think India was a little, or was it Bina? I don't know. One of the women was a little bit smaller than him, and I was like, oh, okay. See, you know what I mean? Like people, there's plenty of places where guys are small and they just find women that are smaller. And then that can sometimes, if you have that insecurity, I'm not saying all small men have that insecurity, but if you have that insecurity, get someone who's shorter than you, and then now you feel like every other couple that has like a taller guy to female ratio. At the end of the day, that kind of thing is not terribly important, but for some people it is. Okay, I get that. Um, so, okay, yes, so Leah's very focused on her career, and they are talking about, so I think this is what both Garrick and what's her name, Danielle, the wife. I think that's what they're talking about when they keep saying like we have concerns, because they want to know that basically Leah's gonna come home and do whatever, or do whatever that is expected of her to be done in this stable of women. It just drives me crazy. And Leah had mentioned, so well they all go out, they're eating and stuff, and Leah wants to talk about the hard questions, right? And Danielle's just sitting there, grinning, and Garrett just like, that stupid look on his face all the time. And she's like, no, I really want to know that, I really want to have some, serious conversation here. So Leah goes into depth about how her previous relationship, or at least the one with her child's father, she was in a polygamous relationship in that particular situation, and how that came to be, because Danielle was asking about that. And she basically said, hey, listen, I was the person kind of coming into the relationship, kind of like how she would be now, and it was okay, until it wasn't. I couldn't really get along with the other wife, and Danielle's probably thinking, oh, that's a concern, that's a concern. Well, listen, it's not, i'm not saying I'm not saying that men and women are made to be, and I don't care, gay, straight, bisexual, whatever, it does not matter, human beings. Well, I'm not saying we're all meant to be with one person for our entire lives. I do not even try to make a statement like that. You date, you get experience, and then, maybe you get married. Some people get married straight out of high school. But see, I think this is one of the problems with getting married straight out of high school. There are couples that can do that, and I don't want to glorify the 50s, because people did do that, the 50s and 60s and stuff like that. But, you see people that got married very young and still stayed together. And you see people that got married very young and then become alcoholics because they can't stand each other, but they grew up in a time and in a place where, you only had to stay with one person. So it's not that you always have to be with this one particular person for the rest of your life, but, it is good to experience different relationships. And, it's just not, it's not a, it, I don't want to say like it's not natural for human beings, but it's it's just too many moving parts, too many dynamics, too many feelings, too many needs, just like April is finding out. Oh, wait a minute. I just thought Brenda had to be cool with this. That's all I thought. I didn't know I got to be fulfilling your emotional needs too over here, Brenda. Should I be French braiding your hair? Like, what are we doing here? I thought I was here to be with this guy, Steven. So that's why it's such a difficult thing. That's why most people are not in relationships like that, because it's something that's very hard to make work, right? So okay, let me move on. So okay, settling on with the woman. So yeah. So I think the whole so these different factors are adding up for me. I think that they're looking at Leah as, first of all, I think that they think that she's, well, if Bert is going to be in this dynamic, be in this equation, then I think Danielle likes Leah's assertiveness. But if Bert's not going to be in the situation, then I think Danielle is feeling like, oh, wait a minute, what did I do here? Hold on, this might be a little bit more than I can handle. She may be a little bit too firm for me, right? And directness is not, it's not everyone can handle that. And you see the way Garrick and Danielle communicate, like, oh well, I think we'll have lettuce for dinner tonight. Like I mean, they don't even like put some bass in your voice, both of you two. Like speak up. Like they're so strange. Those two should have never gotten to. Oh, I shouldn't say never because you know they have their children. But I think after a certain point in a relationship, sometimes you just gotta call it quits. And I think she should have left him a long time ago. Danielle has lost her voice, her self esteem, her posture, everything. While she's sitting over there giving these women back rubs at the airport like a little lost kitten trying to have a best friend. It's very pathetic. I really hate to see stuff like that, and especially with people who you would think of as, and I'm not talking about the men because I can't stand any of these men. I really can't. Like I said, Sidian's just the least of the ones that I can't stand, but I just can't stand these men. But of the women, you know, a lot of these women, you know, they seem like very like if you knew them in real life, they seem like they would be very nice, kind people. So you hate to see people go through stuff like that. You see, I mean, I hate to see a woman lose her voice in a relationship to not be able to assert herself. You know what I mean? You don't have to be like a, you know, an alpha if that's not who you are, but still be able to say, you know, communicate what your, you know, what your needs are to your partner. It's just insane. I think the list is just too long for them. I think they feel that, you know, like I said, because it, Danielle's original plan was to have Bert come over, right? But if Bert doesn't come over, then she's thinking Leah's going to be too much. Secondly, they're thinking Leah's not going to have enough time in the home, and Leah is not going to listen to whatever rules that he's going to lay down. Okay, and I also think that you know the attraction is not there, at least on his end, and yeah, there's too many things here. I mean it makes great TV. It's really interesting. I mean, were you all not like, "Oh my god," when you know, when they showed her on the camera, you were like, "What? Oh, I didn't know. Excuse me, Garrick. I didn't know you like to get down like that." Okay? I had no idea, right? Cuz he just seems so very milk toast. It seems to be hard to imagine him with someone that isn't like Danielle or well, actually, well, he was with Roberta. But, you know, Roberta, I mean, you know, they're still like, you know, looks wise, they're not, you know, leagues different, kind of like Leah is, right? Leah, you know, she's very different. She's curvy, she's tall, she's dark skinned, she's got dreadlocks, you know, she's a nurse, she's independent, she's a single mother, like all of these different things. I don't think they're gonna be, I don't think this is gonna work out. I really don't think so. But we'll see next week, guys. I really enjoy watching it. Now, listen, okay. As much as I love this show, I almost absolutely live even 1 second more of my life for the upcoming scenes for the next episode. Oh my God, we're about to get the family members in here. Whew, this is gonna get hot, okay? Because those Eps are the who was it? I don't know if is it what I don't know if those were Taryn's friends or India's friends, but somebody they were around the table like, what? You doing what? And these are like all black girls, so they're like, what? Like they're about to drag them, and I can't wait for because that's what you need your crew for. That's what you need your group, your tribe, your people to come in and kind of knock you on the head and say, wake the hell up. What are you doing? So that's gonna be good, and I cannot wait for Steven's. I think that's his. I'm sure that's his daughter, right? With like the hair that kind of comes down like this. That's kind of light color. Where she's like, I think this is disgusting. I am waiting for that. So, you know, this is my guilty pleasure, and I really appreciate you guys that come in and join in and listen to me. I know you have a million other things you could be doing, and a million other people you could be watching. So I really appreciate it. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Share it with a friend. Hey, subscribe. I try to do my videos once a week. Now I have been doing 90 Day Fiance as well, but because I'm still, well, I'm better now, but I was getting over COVID. So, I mean, I just kind of fell off with like the 90 Day Fiance review. So we'll see. Oh, thank you so much, Barbara. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. And you know, and I can't even listen. I'm not even objective, okay? Like I can't. I'm just like completely critical and judgmental. I mean, I can't help it. That's what YouTube channels are for, right? We're all just over here giving our little opinions in our little corners of the country. So I will next week, I believe I will be doing a 90 Day Fiance episode because I'm very interested in Eve, who is the older woman who's married to the younger Egyptian guy. She's Native American, he's Muslim, and like they're about to have a clash of the religions, and I am here for it. Okay, so all right, guys, please take care, stay safe, and Chippy Salacho.